Thing.
Okay, right on. Welcome everybody back to the Daddy Crew podcast. Thank you guys so much, or show, whatever we're calling this. I don't know what we're calling it, but YouTube show. Today is a very special episode. We got our first guest, which was kind of sporadic, but I'm definitely stoked to have him. Josh from Slix. Thanks for joining the show, man. I appreciate you hitting me up and wanting to get on here.
Man, I see what you guys are doing. Y'all are doing some cool stuff. So I was like, man, I want to try to get involved. Let's go.
Awesome. And Lonnie and I have been talking about your stuff. He talks about his local brand as well. So we're just obviously trying to promote the different brands that we like and stuff, and then obviously just tell boat stories and their experiences and stuff like that. So my biggest thing is like what made you guys want to start Slix, and what's your kind of boat journey like? Was it, starting boat, you've been in boats forever and then you're like, oh, I want to start a brand, or what how did that come to be?
So I'm a lot different than a lot of these guys. I was a bass fisherman.
Okay.
I did tournament fishing. I did that until I had kids, and I loved it, and it was something I really enjoyed doing. But when I started having kids, the kids weren't really involved in the bass fishing.
Right.
I sold a bass boat to buy my first house, and told myself, hey, I'll get another bass boat pretty soon. Kids, life get in the way, you know what I mean? So after that, we waited a couple of years, and we got we probably waited 4 or 5 years. I got a bay boat. I got a 22-foot bay boat.
Okay, cool.
And didn't really fish in it. We just used it to kind of cruise around. And kids had a little bit of fun because they could swim off of it. But I always kind of wanted a surf boat, even though bass guys don't like surf boats.
Yeah, but like arch enemy.
yeah. So I was like, man, I want one. I was trying to find one. I knew a guy, Matt Edmondson. He's one of the owners of Doomswell, and he worked for a company called Next Level. So I came to him with like a $30,000 budget, because not knowing what I'm doing, and he's like, it's not going to work. Long story short, he got me in I think it was a 2016 Axis A22.
Okay.
So jumped in that and fell in love with it, man. We probably put 150 hours a season on that boat.
Rad.
Kept it, I told myself I'll keep it forever. Kept it for a year. Jumped in my current Taiga. I got a Z5 now, and been running that Taiga for about a little bit over a year now, and pretty happy with it. But I fell in love with the surf thing. The kids and the family, and my brother runs the boat with me every weekend. And since we're in Houston, we have a pretty long season. So we got involved in it pretty heavy. I got another buddy of mine, his name's Josh. He's pretty much my brother also. I talked him into a boat when I had my Axis. He got a ATX, 24-foot ATX, and now he's in a Taiga. But the Slix thing happened. We're just in the garage cleaning boats because we run the boats every weekend.
Right.
And we just couldn't really find something we really loved. Like we would buy all this stuff. We'd go on Amazon, we'd go on the website, go on the forums, buy stuff, test it, and it worked okay. You know what I mean? And we couldn't find something that worked for us.
Yeah.
So, we're having drinks in the shop, cleaning boats, 3 of us all the time, every Sunday pretty much. And we joked around about making our own stuff. So we started buying some product and testing. And then we got with a chemist out of Florida, and we tested for about 8 months to design Slix, which is where we're at now.
I didn't know the R&D process was that long for Slix. So that's rad to hear.
Yeah, well, the last thing, since we're boaters, we want to make sure it doesn't harm gel coat. It doesn't harm previous ceramic coating. Yes. It doesn't harm seats. Like you got a $300,000 boat. I sell you a $25 bottle of something and it ruins something. You're gonna be mad at me.
Right.
Not something we wanted to play with. And since this is a side thing for us, we wanted to make sure we did it right. You know what I mean? We wanted to make sure that the poison control testing was done, the stability testing, everything was done correctly. The water safety testing, so it's it's not a pollutant water. We want to make sure everything's done right.
Right on. No, that's great that you guys took so many things into consideration, and also just like I don't know how many people start brands. I feel like brands pop up. We were talking about this on a previous show. Yeah. So many brands just pop up overnight, right? And there's so many boat cleaners all over the place now. But at the same time, yeah, you don't know how long did they just do it over the weekend? Or like, yeah, I'm gonna mix simple green with some vinegar and this and that and call it a day, And so that's obviously speaks volumes of what you guys are doing and taking the time, to do the R&D. So and I've used I've bought your products myself, and I like it. I like the smell. It's great versus, you have other brands out there that don't smell great, or you have brands out there that smell great, but then they don't do as good of a job, and just kind of. And there's so many good brands out there. I just tell people, like, support your local guy. If you have something you really like, but everything I do, I go out and buy it myself and try it before I tell somebody like, hey, go buy that brand. Like, I'm not getting paid by anybody at the end of the day. Like, you see some people are doing mega marketing right now. There's a
Yeah.
couple of guys that are running some big marketing ads right now. I'm like, man, how are you much you paying these people, or they're doing some type of kickback program with the code and whatnot.
Yeah. And I know me personally, I definitely would love to try Slix some. I definitely want to order some. I've heard great things about it. You know, I see what you guys do. You guys are always out there on the water. Those two boats, those boats are killer, man. You guys are really pushing that marketing great, and I love it. I love it. I think Tristan mentioned you guys are veterans too.
No, a couple of us are, but me not personally. We just do a lot of stuff with veteran groups. We also have a nonprofit called Surfing for Soldiers, where
Yeah.
we take a lot of veterans out surfing. We did it last year and the year before. We did it with Travis Pastrana.
Okay. Yeah,
His group out there. It was cool.
that's awesome. I love that. I mean, just giving back to our community and, you get to, get your cleaning supplies and, you get to come out and help all these people. You get to serve, everybody's having a good time, everybody's getting what they want.
Exactly. It's a lifestyle, man. You know what I mean? And you got to try to get people involved. You got to kind of grow the sport. And, there's a lot of negative side of the sport and of that, that whole lifestyle. So we got to try to make it right for everybody. You know what I mean? Try to do our best.
For sure. And I think what I thought was rad too, seeing that adaptive surfboard, I thought that was sick.
Yeah.
I've seen one recently on a cable park too. Some guy was at a cable park doing like adaptive wakeboard and he's hitting boxes and everything. I'm like, that is probably like one of the sickest things I've seen. It's just like
Awesome.
takes like actually like big balls too to think about it too. Like, you know what I mean? Cause like if I was in there and you can't swim, I'm like, dude, I'm gonna drown. Like that's
Yeah.
at the same time when you get to a certain point, you're probably just like, F it, I'm going for it. So that's rad things to see what you guys are doing. I know like Centurion does the salute to service and they do donations and stuff, and obviously they have their branded stuff, but like you guys are actually physically getting out there and helping these guys. I'm sure it helps a lot. And my wife's dad, he served in Iraq and Afghanistan and ex-cop as well. So I know they all go, he's told me stories and I've watched him go through a lot of stuff. So definitely appreciate what you guys are doing. I have two of my best friends are in the military. So I understand my whole family is in the military. The same thing though. I was not in the military, but I can totally respect what you guys are doing.
Yeah, 100%. I love it. I mean, we're military family to my grandfather, my great grandfather. So, I mean, if we can support, military vets in any kind of way, we'll do it. I mean, we love it. And to see you guys out there with them having fun, it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, it's a good time. We're trying to do a few more next year. We've been kicking around the idea of doing something out on the West Coast.
Right
There's another group out there called Wake for Warriors that those guys kill it. They do a lot of big stuff. They're tied in with a lot of big people and they do some cool stuff too. But we're talking about trying to do something on the West Coast, maybe doing another one up Pastrana Land in Maryland, and then trying to do something here in Texas for 2025. It's just, we haven't started planning it yet. We need to start working on it pretty quick.
Right. I mean, you'll blink, right? That's what I'm trying to plan. I'm trying to plan a couple events this year, and I'm trying to keep them. I won't expose too much stuff going on. Obviously, for sure, we're going to Desert Storm. I will say that. And I know you've been talking about doing Desert Storm and meeting up and whatnot. And actually, kind of, we'll all segue into. But there's definitely some things I want to do, and I'll keep you guys in the loop, and we can try to all get together for each of them. And I think it'll make it a great old party. But I guess for Desert Storm, what are you bringing out to Desert Storm? Is that still on the docket? Sorry if I'm kind of pulling out your guys' too. So.
Still on the docket. I don't know if I'm gonna bring my boat. I got a buddy of mine named his name's Dylan LaRusso, and he's got a 38-foot skater.
Okay, nice.
And we were talking about bringing my boat, but I'm like, after watching the videos, I'm like, I don't know if I want to, if you got a small boat out there. I've been on Lake of the Ozarks before, when it's pretty crazy, and it's not a whole lot of fun in a surf boat. So I might jump in and I might tow his boat up there and run the skater, but. We're gonna go up there for sure. We got a house already booked. We're gonna have a good time.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna bring a couple guys. We're just gonna go up there. I'm waiting to hear from them on a vendor booth. I'm gonna try to do a vendor booth out there, I think, to try to get some of that West Coast stuff. You know what I mean? Try to, push our product a little bit and get it in some other people's hands.
For sure. And I think that's a great start to it's really the season kickoff, I feel like, right? Because it's mid-April, it's warm enough. I went 2 years ago. And on my buddy's boat, they have a Howard. It was like a 2018 Howard, and that thing moves. It does like 80 on the water, and I'm like, dude, this is gnarly. But especially when you go from anything like faster than 50 on the water is fast. It feels fast.
Yeah.
And so when you're going that fast on the water, you're like, holy moly, it's great to get to point A to point B. But I love my wake boat. So I'm in the same bucket as you. Like, okay, can I jump on somebody else's boat? Because I don't necessarily want to bring my boat. If I have to, I will. Or if I have a good crew with me, I will. Because I've been in Havasu and you don't have a great crew
Yeah,
on like a big weekend and it sucks. So if you have good people that are like willing to help out and willing to grab stuff, go out of their way and stuff like that, that definitely makes or break your experience. If I bring my boat, I probably will stay pretty local. Like I'll stay to the local to the launch ramp to the channel. I'm probably not going to go up to Pirates or I'm not going to go down to Three Dunes and stuff like that. Like I'll probably stay pretty close. So I'm not going to venture out, but more so just to have a space to hang out and everything.
of course.
Um, but that'd be sweet, man. I'm definitely looking forward to meeting you guys actually in person
Yeah.
and seeing what else is going on. Have you guys? I think I've asked you this on a side note. Have you guys ever done PAL?
No, man.
Oh, ever.
I've never done Havasu. I've been out there racing and the side by side stuff. We've raced out there
Okay,
in the side by sides, but I've never been on the water. I just, been in the town and been by the lake, driven by it a bunch of times. But, we haven't. This year I'm gonna try to venture out a little bit, and do the Havasu stuff, and then we're gonna do Ozarks and venture up in Texoma, some stuff a little bit north, but I don't know how far we're gonna go yet.
got it. I want to do Ozarks. The Ozarks look sick.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
looks like a good event, and I've seen a lot of cool events there too. And I heard that lake is huge. I met some dude. I was golfing in Florida, visiting some family, and this guy's like, "Yeah, dude, anytime you want to come to Ozarks, come out. The lake's massive." And I'm like, he's like, "We'll get you hooked up." And I'm like, "All right, cool." But he said
Go.
nothing but good things about like that town and that community at Ozarks is like, I guess, amazing. So
It's cool. We went last year for our first time, and we as soon as we left, we booked it again for this year. So
how far is that from you guys?
I think it was about 13 hours.
Okay.
Okay.
Wasn't
Yeah,
terrible.
yeah.
How far is the drive for Havasu then? Is that probably like closer to 20?
24.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Lonnie, how far is it for you to go to
I
Havasu?
think around 12 hours towing a boat it'd probably take. I know at our motorhome it's about 13 hours, so I would think 12 towing a boat.
Okay.
12,
And
12
then,
11, yeah.
and then PAL for you is probably another 4 after that.
Yeah.
It's probably closer to 6 because for me to Havasu, it's like 3-ish. And then for me to PAL, though, I'm like almost right in the middle. I could go to PAL in 4 hours. So
I think PAL I might be at around 17 hours for me to get to PAL, 17 or 18.
got it. I am planning on doing an event at PAL, so I'll keep you guys in the. I will say that I'm
Yes.
doing something in PAL, so I want to make it big. I know PAL's not known for like necessarily big meetups and stuff, but I would like to make something big and
Yeah.
have a handful of boats and find a point where we can all tie up and hang out.
That'd be
Makes
awesome.
me think about you, Josh. Is you guys have some wicked tie-ups in Texas, like the Possum Kingdom in between those big rocks looks.
Yeah.
I'm like all about that.
Yeah, you should fly down for one of them next time, man. I think we've done the one with Next Level. I think there's like 200 tigers out there. It's insane.
Wow.
That lake looks like something out of what's like Avatar or whatever that one movie is with all the blue creatures and stuff like that. That thing looks sick. It just it doesn't even look like a real lake. Looks
It,
like,
it, al-
It
it
definitely
almost
doesn't belong in Texas.
it almost looks like it's like you're surfing on Mars. Like it's
Yeah.
insane. I mean, I've seen, like I said, the tie-ups too. I've seen, I think it's a place called Hell's Gate.
Yeah,
That's what it's
where
called.
everybody ties up.
I've seen there. That place is wicked. I mean, I've always wanted to go. I mean, it's seeing everything and how it is. I need to go.
You gotta fly down, man. We always go up there we got a couple events. We go up there. One of them's the Next Level has a tiger reunion up there.
Mhm.
Y'all gotta fly down and come check it out. But Hell's Gate is where they used to do all the Red Bull cliff diving.
Oh,
So
really?
it's crazy.
Okay, wow.
It's pretty cool out there. But it's in the middle of nowhere. Like you're far away from big cities, a bunch of country money out there. It's definitely a cool place to be, man. Y'all gotta come check it out.
How far is how far is that from you guys?
About 5.5.
Okay, got it. So that's a jump for you. That'd be like us going to Havasu or PAL or something like that. Like that's definitely a trip, like a weekend trip.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. We go out there a couple times a year.
Nice. Yeah, I love because nobody out here does it. Everybody just kind of does random chains, but you guys do the backs facing each other tie up, and I'm like, that's sick. And I was talking to my buddy about it. It seems like it's kind of, unless you set it up right, it's definitely kind of a pain in the ass to get going.
It takes us like it'll probably take us an hour to get anchored for the first couple of boats to get anchored and to start tying them up, and then we have guys on jet skis that are running anchors, and it's a process. But once you get started, it rolls pretty good. But it's always a pain if somebody has to leave, and one of the first couple of boats has to leave, so then you gotta move the boats over and make it work. But it's usually the same people every year, so we make it happen.
How deep is that? Because it looks like it'd be super deep, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's really deep. Yeah.
That part's about 75, 80 foot.
Okay.
So it's
I
pretty
was
deep.
sure, in
Yeah.
my mind, it's like, oh, it's 200 feet deep or something. Like, you got a big old anchor there. But yeah, that's not bad. That's like kind of our local has pockets. It'll drop to 60, but then if you go off to the left of the channel, it's maybe more closer to 40 and stuff like that. So
Yeah, it's a cool setup out there, man. And there's a bunch of big high dollar houses, so the guys are all landing their helicopters at their houses and stuff. It's pretty cool to go check it out there.
nice. I'm sure you've seen too. It happens to you, like obviously the guys chasing people in helicopters and stuff like
Yeah,
that. And even Pal, like I don't know. Do you follow? Have you seen what all the wakeboard guys do? Palapalooza.
yeah, that thing's cool,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I want to go. I want to figure out a way to get into Palapalooza. But my other plan is if that doesn't work, I'm going to make my own like mini Palapalooza and just start something else
There
because
we go.
that looks it looks epic because they have like 7 houseboats, like 10 boats and e-boards and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And like there's a bunch of people out there, anybody from artists to boarders to everything in between.
Yeah, we definitely got to make a trip out there here one of these years. We've been talking about doing the houseboat thing and just checking it out, but we've just been so busy we haven't planned it yet.
Right, right. The houseboat thing is it's wild because just gets pricey quick.
Yeah.
I've looked
Yeah.
into it a handful of times. Just kind of depends on if you can get a solid group of people that you know is going to commit. You can
Mhm.
definitely make it affordable for everybody, but it's like I can't run the risk of me personally because I don't know about you guys. I'm pretty like not conservative, but I'm also not made of money either. Trust me, I wish I had $1 million, so I'd just be like whatever, but I'll go by myself and book it. But like if I have somebody flake on me, I'm like, well, that puts a dent in everybody's pocket now. So
Yep.
instead
Yeah.
of like $1,000 a family or couple or whatever, a group, then it jumps to 15 quick if one family bails, and then you're trying to find somebody to slot that in. And also being on a houseboat, you got to have a solid crew because being on a houseboat, you're confined to that space for normally a week. So
Yeah.
it's like you guys better be okay with dealing with each other for living close for a week too. So there's just so many different moving parts. I've done a houseboat at Lake Mead, and that was like an amazing experience. So houseboat life is super rad if you have a solid crew.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. We talked about it too, about houseboats being pretty pricey. Lake Shasta's houseboats are actually surprisingly super cheap. I think they have one for $3,000 and 3 to 5 grand. And I'm like, if Pal's too expensive, I mean, there's always Shasta too, but that's a drive for that's probably a longer drive for you guys. And I mean, I think I would much, much, much rather go to Pal just because I've never been and just to, explore, look at it. I mean, it doesn't look like a real place. I mean, I've always seen it on YouTube, Instagram Reels, and I've always wanted to go. I mean, it's definitely like it's probably top 3 on my bucket list for sure.
That's literally what my mindset was until we went in 23. So yeah. When I got to go, I was just like on cloud 9 the entire time, wakeboarding there, surfing there, fucking partying there. Like everything about it was just rad. Like you feel like you're on Mars. It's so weird. We got caught in a wicked storm there, and like you get caught in a storm, like a big ass monsoon there, and I was like, underneath it all, I was shitting bricks because I was like, dude, I don't know where the fuck I'm going right now. And my buddy had service. I was like, Mason, you point the way because I don't know which way I'm going, and I'm running out of gas. And I told this in another episode. Long story short, but it's just like how crazy things change out there. And I was talking to another buddy last night that his family has a houseboat out there, and we're trying to make some stuff happen. And he was saying, he's like, yeah, there's so much different stuff on that lake, and how it'll change so quick. Like you'll blink. Like in the morning, it'll be sunny. In an hour, you'll see clouds move in, and it's like, holy shit, what's happening? So yeah, definitely. And that lake's huge. I think I covered not even a quarter of it when I was there. And we drove when we went to Hole in the Roof because the cut wasn't open. We drove probably for a solid hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. Like we'd stop, take a piss, jump in the water, and then keep driving. But we drove for a solid hour and a half at least to get to Hole in the Roof. And that's probably what Possum Kingdom seems like because of how big it is. I don't know how far it is. Like how far is that drive to go to Hell's Gate once you leave the ramp?
Depending on where we're at, it's actually not that far. It's a river lake, you know what I
Okay.
mean? So it's a river, it's a big river system, so it takes a little bit, longer to jot around the place. But where we usually launch, we usually get a house up on the north side, and you're probably talking about a 45-minute trip, cruising about 25 or so
Okay.
to Hell's Gate. You know what I mean?
Since you bring up speed and stuff, I want to know, what do you run your boat at? I see some guys that will just romp their shit out and they're just full punch all throttle down all the time, and then other guys like me, I kick it back a little bit. I don't like going really more than 4,000 RPM unless I got to get around something or cut through something. So kind of how do you run your boat?
I have my boat propped. We got a pretty heavy boat. We run a lot of lead and a lot of stereo. Usually
Okay.
have a lot of people, so it's propped. It's definitely got a high altitude surf prop on it.
Okay.
So I think I might top out like 30, 31. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? My boat doesn't run that quick, and
Right.
I just cruise. I cruise 24, 25 most of the time. The other Josh with Slix, he runs his boat wide open throttle everywhere he goes. You know what I mean? So he'll leave me and I'll just cruise in the back. I don't like to, because once I start running the high RPMs, it just starts drinking gas.
For sure.
Uh,
You said you got a Z5, right?
Yep, Z5.
How long is that?
25 and a half.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's a big dog. How Obviously I've seen the videos of your wave. It looks rad. And both boats look rad. But I guess what's your experience with big boats? Like going from your Axis, I know going from your Axis to the Taiga, you love the difference there, and you say the wave is way better. But like going from that 22-foot to the 25-foot, or have you been on any bigger boats? What's your experience with like the big boat waves? Are they good? Are they bad? Kind of what's your experience there?
I like the big boat wave. My next, like, I'll never go smaller than what I have now.
Okay.
I like the big boat wave. The only negative side of it is, down here in Houston, a lot of our lakes aren't very deep. My
Right.
Axis, I could surf 9, 10 foot. It was
Totally.
22-foot axis. I could surf, shallow water. My Taiga wants, 15, 16, 18 foot. To really have a clean wave, I need to be 20 foot deep.
Yeah.
Which is tough. And
Is
so
that because like getting that bounce off the bottom of the displacement or whatever?
I think so. I think it has a lot to do with weight. I think just those heavy boats, you know what I mean? The longer boats are heavier. The heavier boats just need more depth, it seems like, to throw a good wave, because it'll wash out. Like if I'm surfing and we get shallow, wave's gone. You know what I mean? I could feel it right off the bat.
So weird thing, I was telling him before, like down in Parker, which is right below Lake Havasu, right? So, and I'm sure you're familiar with Parker just from the off-road scene, but in Parker, like if you go downriver next to the casino, it gets kind of shallow. It bounces between 10 and 20 feet, or maybe like 12 and 20 feet. In my boat, I felt like if I got closer to that kind of shallower, because a lot of guys are like, "Oh, you need deep water, you need deep water," and I'd get to the shallow stuff, I felt like my wave got like way better. I was like, "What are you talking about? This wave looks monstrous right now. Like, what do you mean the shallow water?" I'm like, "I want to be in shallow water all the time." But then I've also had other times where I'm in 200 feet deep water and my wave looks rad too. So obviously every boat handles it differently or displaces it differently. And maybe mine gets some help because it's an older model. It's a 15 versus like some of these newer boats. Maybe they need that deep water because of how
Yeah.
the fuel design is and stuff like that. But I just think that I'm curious, like obviously what everybody's experience is and stuff like that.
I know with me personally, I'm out from the Delta, and I mean the Delta will go from 100 feet to 2 feet in just the snap of a finger. I mean, it's a really, really, really weird bottom style. We were surfing, and I looking at my depth gauge. I'm in the Delta. I kind of have to. I think we were in 30 feet of water, and we come up. It hits 5, and my wave disappears. The surfer fell, and it was kind of weird because we surfed in shallow water before. Probably around 15 feet, 10 feet, and give or take. And it was fine. As soon as we hit that 5 foot mark, it just disappeared. It almost looked like I was on a plane.
Have you I gotta ask the question, and it might be embarrassing. That's totally fine because I'll admit to it. Have you ever grounded a prop?
Me personally, no, I haven't, but I've been in a boat where the prop's been grounded. Yes.
Okay.
It's,
All right.
it's definitely scary. It takes you really get shocked from it. I almost feel like it's like, is this real? What just happened? Are we good? Is the boat sinking? That was kind of my first train of thought, but we were all good. I mean, the boat surprisingly made it back to the dock, ran 15 miles an hour back to the dock. But
Were you like at speed when you grounded it too?
yeah, we were at speed. Yeah, I think we were probably doing
Yeah,
20,
that's gnarly.
22.
Okay, yeah, that's sketchy.
Over. Right. Yeah.
Very, man.
Do you ever ground props out there, or did you just never get that shot?
Stumps. We hit some stumps. I've hit some stumps, and I've hit some rocks. Like pulling up to the ramp, drop somebody off to get the truck.
Got
I've
it.
hit some rocks. You know what I mean? I've hit a stump and had to cruise back. I carry a spare prop in the boat with all the tools, but of course, I'm not swimming under the water with an
I was
impact to change it.
just
So
say, how you change that drop in the water?
kind of dumb. So I gotta put it on the trailer. But we've done it before where I leave everybody in the boat. I throw it on the trailer real fast. Pull it up, swap the prop, and put the boat back in the water, and
Back
rock
when
and
you
roll.
go. Okay, right
You
on.
know,
Yeah.
That's the one thing that sucks is props are not cheap, and I wish they were even if they were like a consistent price, but I feel like every time I look at the prop, they get more expensive.
Yeah, they're way different.
I've done one in Havasu. It was super windy, and I was trying to turn. I dropped my buddy off at the dock to go grab the truck. I was trying to turn. I should have just slammed it in reverse. And as soon as I got sideways, the boat started just pushing like a sail.
Mhm.
And I was like watching it go 5, 3, and I got to 2.5, and I was like almost. I was like so close, but I didn't want to slam it. And I literally felt it go burp, burp, burp. Like the whole boat just hops, and everybody just kind of like is super quiet. I'm like,
Yeah.
I was just like so pissed. So yeah, that's my grounding the prop experience, and I think I've probably hit like something in the water, like because we get a lot of runoff at the beginning of the year, like April timeframe. Last year wasn't as bad, but the year before that it was super bad. I was sucking up stuff in my filter, in my trans cooler and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So
I wanna touch back to the prop thing. I
yeah,
think I told you this before. I was putting my boat on the trailer, and the trailer wasn't deep enough in the water at all. Super shallow. Definitely could have came back a little bit more. So I put the boat on the trailer, and I feel the prop hit something. Like the whole boat is sitting there vibrating, vibrating, vibrating. We don't know the boat's all the way up the trailer at this point because we think the shaft is messed up. Everything's just shredded. We pulled the boat out and it's perfectly fine. So I don't know what happened, but I mean, I'm glad the prop was good. It definitely sounded like it was just grinding and hitting on the ground, but I mean, if it didn't, it didn't. I mean, it was a really, really, really weird situation, but I'm thankful that when we pulled the boat out, everything was perfect.
just cut a hole in one of the bunks and just perfectly sliced through it, and so I just kept walking through it.
And so,
I guess let me ask you this too. What's your favorite boat that you've ridden behind so far? It seems like you guys have been on a bunch of different boats from fast to wake to bass. So I guess what's your favorite boat, Josh?
man, I don't know. That's a tough one. I enjoy my Tigers. I haven't spent a whole lot of time in other boats when it comes to other surf boats. You know what I mean? I ran the Axis, ran the Malibu a few times. I went to a event called Skater Fest with skater boats
I
in
saw that.
Oh
Thing.
yeah,
in
yeah,
Texoma. And dude, as soon as I got on these skater boats, I was like, I'm gonna go home and sell my wakeboard boat. Like it's gone. Like I need to get rid of this thing now. You know what I mean? We're doing like 150 in these boats, helicopters chasing us. It was wild, but I got a few more years. My kids don't want to go doing 140 miles an hour. They don't really care. You know what I mean? One of them does, but I'm like, I need to wait a few years and make some more money and have both. I want a surf boat and I want a fast boat.
I could see somebody doing that. Like I don't. I'm the I. It's great to go fast on the water, but like I'm good for it for 5 minutes, like one rip. Like we go to Pirates and back or something like that. Like cool, I can get to Pirates in 20 minutes because we're jamming up river.
Yeah.
But like other than that, I'm like, okay, what am I doing? I could jam there, start drinking beer, and I could jam back, start drinking beer. But like, I like doing stuff on the water. Whether it's, I mean, I'm getting old for wakeboarding. I might hang up the wakeboard this year because I've wadded myself like right at Christmas time, and so I was like hurting for like a week. My back, like I couldn't stand up straight. And it wasn't even a bad fall, so that makes me feel like, oh yeah, I'm getting really old now. So yeah, I mean, I liked being able to do stuff. I think, and also like just like the stereo aspect of it too with the wakeboard boats, you get the more
yeah,
protection. I've been in some banging systems on speed boats, and like my buddy's Howard has a cracking system, but then at the same time, you don't have the projection when you're tied up. So I feel like at the same time, we kind of all need each other at the end of the day. Like fast boat guys are like, oh, screw you, wake boat guys. You guys are just throwing wake everywhere. I'm like, bro, my biggest pet peeve when people say that, I'm like, I put 2 ice chests in there, 10 people in my boat. That's an extra 1,000 pounds right there. And just naturally, you add weight to it, it's going to throw more of a wake. I'm not trolling around with full ballast. Like, what do you think? I'm not an idiot. Like, come on.
Yeah.
yeah.
Everybody's got to get along, man. It doesn't matter what you're on. Everybody's just trying to enjoy their days and get outside, do something different.
Right, right.
Tristan, I remember you mentioning top three lakes. I really,
Get into that stuff.
really, really want to get into that. I want to hear, where you guys have been and kind of what's your favorite. Especially you guys down in Texas. I don't really know many lakes down there. So I definitely want to hear some of that too, for sure.
So southern Texas doesn't really have a lot of really good quality lakes right now. We're in the drought in a lot of areas, so it's kind of tough. Uh, you go up to northern Texas, that's where you got Possum Kingdom. That's probably one of the prettiest Texas lakes. Lake LBJ down here outside of Austin is pretty cool. Lake Travis is real cool, but it's low right now. very low. I think it's like 40% full.
Ooh,
Canyon Lake, which is outside of San Antonio, also it's beautiful blue water, but it's they have like one ramp open because there's no water left down there. It's getting tough, so we do a lot more traveling. We go north. We don't really go south or west as much.
okay.
So we'll go up to Possum Kingdom. Fort Worth has some real cool small lakes. And other than that, we go. You know, I think next year I'm going to hit Texoma a few times. It's a massive lake that's really not developed, but they're really starting to. They got real cool restaurants and bars, and they're building some resorts and casinos on it.
So
It's pretty cool. But I think my top lake's it's gotta be the Ozarks. Like there's no doubt about it. Like the Ozarks was a cool place, man.
once you said you've been there, I figured that was going to be definitely in the top three, if not number one. So that was my prediction. So that makes sense.
Like I want to move there now. Like I came home, I'm like, I'm gonna sell everything. Like once I get everything established, I'm gonna move up there because I was there for a week and I never got in my truck. I did everything on the boat.
That's
That's
what I've heard too.
awesome.
It's super sick. Like just it's a lake community, and you just cruise everywhere. And I mean, it's kind of as lame as it sounds. It's literally like in this TV show Ozark. So you're just like everybody drives around by boat, and I think that is sick.
Yeah, we went to the grocery store, liquor store. You could go to the movies. Everything you got to do in the boat. There's
Awesome.
40 restaurants. I think one day I went about 2.5 hours, and I got pretty far up the lake, but I didn't make the whole lake. Even a 2.5 hour run. We're kind of cruising. We stop and get in the water a few times, but just a big river lake and a real deep, and a lot of boats. The weekdays are a lot of fun out there. The weekends get pretty rough on the surf boat in the summertime.
Got it.
There's a lot of big 70-foot boats out there. Big yacht style boats just pushing water. You know what I mean? Just throwing big wakes.
That's like crazy. In my local lake, there's definitely some bigger. I'm like border like they're yachts. They're for
Yeah,
sure yachts. And I'm like, why do you have this here?
on
Yeah,
campus.
it's sick. Like you have like a party barge and like everybody, you have a big ass anchor that everybody ties up to. But like, why is that on this lake? Our lake's not huge, but it's not small either. So like 30 to 40 foot, like two deckers and sometimes even three. And I'm like, that's so weird that you have this here. But whatever, dude. Like that's cool. Good for you.
Yeah,
And I look at it like that too here on the Delta. We got, some 70-foot sea rays, like bigger than that. And our channels can go from, 100 feet wide to 50 feet wide real quick. And if one of those come around the corner while you're on plane, you really need to back off
You're
of it.
definitely some stuff here quick.
We've definitely hit some big ones out here. I mean, I think probably the biggest boat I've seen out here is probably 120 feet. They had one tied up at our local marina, and it was huge. It was probably, triple decker. This crazy, just it almost looked like something out of like some mafia movie. Like it was huge.
it could be in Miami or something like that.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. Yeah.
As far as my favorite lake, I'd have to go right off the rip, Pal for sure. That lake is just super rad. Honestly, that whole chain of lakes, Pal, Mead, and Mojave, are all super sick lakes. Mead is definitely a little bit not as like appealing to the eye per se, but it's also another massive lake. That's where I did my houseboat at when I was in like high school. And so that experience was just super sick there. And I grew up going to Mead. So Mead's got definitely a special place in my heart. But Mojave is super cool too, because like we would go to that one day normally when we're at Mead. And I rode there on a stand up from like right below the Hoover Dam in the channels and stuff like that. So like you ride through this channel, then it opens up to this big ass lake. And like my parents and grandparents used to go to Catherine's Landing, which is at the very bottom of it, near Needles and stuff like that. So I think Mojave and Pal are probably one of my two favorites for sure. Trying to think the third one that would probably be. I grew up in a small town called Canyon Lake. It's nothing crazy or special, but it's just a lake town.
Mhm.
I definitely loved Canyon Lake. Now I probably wouldn't love living there because they only allow 21-foot boats, and
Oh
then
man.
you can only surf in the backwater. Excuse me.
Right.
Uh, yeah, they have a separate area. It's like growing up, it was a wakeboard only or like a slalom ski area, but there's no docks or no boats. They just have the one dock with the launch ramp, and it's just like a channel that wraps around the corner. And that lake you can surf on, but like on the main lake where like all the houses are and like the clubhouses and stuff like that, you can wakeboard, but I guess you're not supposed to run ballast there. So the guy that invented the air chair was there, so that was always sick watching that. You'd be like cruising by, and this guy's going over the boat basically, and you're like, that's big.
Oh, yeah, I think with me personally, my number one, I mean, definitely gonna have to go Havasu. I mean, Havasu is just Havasu. It kind of speaks for itself. You know, you see all the videos, you see Desert Storm. It's just it's the place to be, and I love it. I mean, there's always something to do. You're never ever bored of Havasu. Ever. But definitely go number one is my Havasu. So I'll probably go second is Tahoe. That Tahoe water is just crystal. And I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah.
I haven't seen really water like it anywhere else. I mean, there's a couple places, but you know, it's 3 hours away from me, and it's gorgeous. I mean, it's definitely something different. And for top three, I would definitely either say Berryessa or Shasta. Berryessa is really, it's not really a big lake. It's more kind of on the smaller side. It's kind of our local lake that we go to sometimes. You know, we're usually out on the Delta, so we don't really go to the lakes that much. But I'd probably give it to Berryessa.
This might be a stupid question, but technically the Delta is saltwater, no?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like a brackish water. I know the Delta meets the bay near our home point, so I mean, if you, yeah, necessarily, yeah, it is saltwater.
How does your boat do with that? Like, did you ever? That I've always wondered that because I just know people that have dropped their boat in like San Diego, and like there's a bay in San Diego that everybody drops their boat in, and in even Florida. How did your boat handle that, like the saltwater? Because I've heard nightmare stories about it. I've heard some people like, "Oh, it's fine as long as you flush it out." Kind of, what's your experience with that in owning a boat on the Delta?
So I mean, it's really simple. I don't think the salt really makes it up this far, so it doesn't really do any damage. I mean, I left my boat here at my buddy's house on the dock for 7 days, a week, and I came back and there was no corrosion. Obviously, there's going to be a little bit of a little bit of dirt, but the salt doesn't really, I don't think, comes up this far, so it really doesn't bother the boats. I mean, we don't need to flush them. We sometimes we still do if it's a long trip, but I mean, it's very, very, very for being connected to the ocean. It's definitely clean-ish. They do call it the dirty delta, but it's not too bad at all. I mean, it's very, very simple.
Okay, right on. Josh, do you deal with any stuff like that down there, or you guys? I know in Houston you're near the ocean, but not.
We got a few spots, a few rivers that we used to take the jet skis out on. That'll run into the intercoastal, but I don't take the surf boats out there. We've talked about it, but everything's all sandy, and I'm like, no, I'll just stay where, we go a little bit further north, and we spent a lot of time up on the Trinity River,
Okay.
run the river systems up there. That's where we enjoyed, to really surf and hang out up there.
A lot of your videos I've seen in like the last month, or is that what that river system is?
Yeah.
Because it's all very green on both sides. It looks like you're almost going down lake.
Yeah, it's dirty. It's dirty water. It feeds a lake called Lake Livingston. It's the Trinity comes from the north, of course, comes out of Fort Worth, and it's dirty water, but it doesn't matter if it's 50-mile-an-hour winds. You're protected in the river channel, and it's usually 35, 40 foot deep. So, and we go out there even in the summertime. We go out there in days, and it's like the world forgets about you out there. Like you'll see three boats, and I'm talking. You put the boat in the water at 9 a.m. You leave it dark, you see three boats out there.
That's wild.
It's
Oh,
insane.
wow.
It's cool. Like,
Uh,
love it.
that's kind of how Powell was. We went to Powell Labor Day weekend, so I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's going to be cracking, right?
Yeah.
You would cruise, you would see, and that was like a busier weekend. And like you'd cruise through Antelope, you definitely see a bunch of people in Antelope. But then you go through the channel, you'll pass by a houseboat towing a boat, and like 5 minutes later you'll see another boat going the opposite direction. 5 minutes later you might see another boat, but that's like you will cruise for a while, and like unless you're at like Lone Rock, and that's where like a lot of the rentals go. There's a lot of skis down there, and there's a beach that people will like go park on and camp on.
Yeah.
But like if you're not at Lone Rock, you're not going to really see anybody. Like there's stuff. We like when we went to Hole in the Roof, we saw one boat maybe every 20 minutes. It was like, man, there's nobody out here. So if something happens, like you see those videos of the guys that hit the random rocks and their shit's parked on a rock, and you're like, how do you, if you don't have service? Like I had minimal service out there. My buddy had service because he had a different carrier, but I was like, this is pretty gnarly.
Yeah, you're done, man. It's definitely weird. It makes you think like like you don't know something, like the world's ending and you don't know it. You know what I mean? Like you're out there and you're kind of freaking out for a little bit, but I just love it, because you're just by yourself. I love the party days, love the tie-up days, but sometimes
Yeah.
to get out and not have to worry about any wakes, especially when you're surfing. It's to the point now where I don't like to surf a lake much anymore because the river's got me so spoiled. There's no wind, there's no wake, there's no other wakes really. You got a few wakeboard dudes or a few surfers, and there's usually an air chair guy out there, but everybody kind of works with each other.
Right.
You don't know them, but you wave to them and it's not really a problem. So, like,
Yeah.
It's crazy too, how much of a difference, even surfing, right? Like everybody's like, oh yeah, you could surf when it's bad water. And it's like, yeah, you can, because but the boat breaks it up somewhat, but you still hit those wakes and stuff like that. But when you get
Yeah.
good water surfing, it is amazing. And I'm like, man, I'm spoiled. I'm like, and I've had those days where like, hey, we're only going to board. We're not messing around. Like we're going boarding, we're getting off. It's like going to the track. I'm going to pounding my motos and I'm going home.
Yep. That's it.
For sure. Yeah. 100%.
How are y'all in the Delta? Is it pretty protected over there with wind stuff, or?
So, I mean, the deltas, it's really weird. So around 3 to 4-ish, it'll get really, 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 really bumpy. And I mean, I mean, it gets windy. I mean, you guys can see and probably hear it's pretty windy right now. Yeah, really around the late afternoon is when it really picks up. But I mean, if you launch, 9 a.m. probably until around 3, you're ice clear water. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, it's everyone wants to be on the water, and then right about 3 to 4, the winds pick up. It gets it probably I've seen 3.5s, almost 4s out here before coming through. It definitely gets hectic. And then probably around 5, probably around 6 o'clock, maybe 7 o'clock, it starts to calm down. The water starts to get smooth again. The sun starts to set. So if you kind of just sit through that rough water, you'll get a really really good sunset surf session there for sure.
What about early morning? You ever wake up like we've done it before? We wake up, 6:30 in the morning, sun's coming up. We're putting the boat in the water, and we're surfing when the sun's coming up because nobody's out there, and there's
Yeah.
no wind usually early in the morning. Y'all ever do those?
Yeah, sometimes. And I mean, it's super convenient, especially being on the water. At my buddy's house, they just push a button, their boat's in the water, and it's the most amazingest thing ever. We'll pack the boat up. There was one time we were out on the water for 12 hours, and it was amazing. We woke up at 8, or no, we woke up at 6, got on the water at 8, didn't get back till close to 9. So yeah, almost 13 hours. My Supreme, we left it here for a week. I think we put 60 hours, 50 hours on it in 1 week. So it was definitely something. It definitely is perks of, having your boat directly on the water. You get to use it a lot more. And I love it. I
How
love it.
many
I
hours did you have on that spring when you sold it?
think I had 150. I put 150 on it. I think probably about maybe a little higher, give or take. But probably closer to 160. But
I
I
thought
mean,
based on what you're saying, I was like, man, that thing probably had like
yeah.
3 or 4 hours when you sold it.
Yeah, it was a lot. That 1 week was a majority of our hours, to be honest. We only go out on the weekend. That was our first, our first kind of summer. We got the boat in September of 23, and we got to use it for that little month. And then, it got put away in the garage and sat for 6 months until this last summer we got it out, and it was really something else. I mean, it's kind of nice getting the boat in the off season. You can get it ready, get the logo, get the stereo done, and then boom, summer you pop out, and it's just like, hey, everybody, I'm here. Look at me. It's kind of what it felt like.
When do y'all start? When do y'all start getting the boat back?
So we usually start May-ish. It's when it starts to warm up, and our summers here are super long. We were surfing October, late October. I think we got one run in September 1st, and right after that, or not September 1st, November 1st. And after that, it got chilly, so we kind of put the boats away, get them all cleaned up, put them in the garage. Just our kind of our winter thing we go through with all of our boats, and we still go out in the wintertime a little bit, but it's definitely it's freezing. I mean, it's the wintertime. It's just we don't really do it much. I think we've done it.
We got a parka on her now.
Yeah. We've done it, I think, once, and that was it. I think we're gonna definitely try again. Just because I mean it's awesome to get out there when everybody else is out there and just surf.
Yeah.
Honestly, some of the best weather I get is in the winter. So, I mean, I try to do it all year round. Last year, I didn't do it as much because we were doing a lot of side by side stuff. But this winter, like, we boarded pretty late. I think even in Halloween weekend, I wasn't even in a full wetsuit yet. I was in a heater top only. I think it was like 65 in the air and 65 in the water. So it was like I could just wear just the wetsuit top. And I was out the week of Christmas. That's when we filmed the last episode. And the week of Christmas, it was about the same. It was 65, but the water was closer to like, no, actually, it was warmer. It was like almost 70, but the water was like 62. So it was a big swing. So I was in a full wetsuit then because it was definitely like a chilly time. But I love going out in the winter. Yeah, you suffer a little bit at first, but at the end of the day, like you got to go when the water's good. And we were literally cruising. We pulled right out of the marina. We filled up and literally surfed along the dam. So we didn't have to go far at all. Like we literally were just bam jamming back and forth. And then we pulled off. We were out there. We were on the lake for an hour and a half, and we jumped off the boat and went home.
That's
You
awesome.
got heaters in your boats?
I don't.
Neither do I.
I didn't option for it. I mean, and that was probably the biggest mistake of owning that boat, putting white floors in it and not optioning for the heater. Those are definitely my two. I definitely wish I did new white floors. At the moment on the computer, it looked killer. I mean, I was in love, but I don't think the first day we got that boat, those floors were gray. And I mean, that's what we don't wear shoes in our boat at all. I mean, we rarely even wear socks. So it was definitely that. I definitely wish I changed that. And I wish I optioned for the heater now that, I see, hey, we go out in the wintertime sometimes. My buddy's boat has a heater and it makes a drastic difference. It's amazing. Put that little heater tube under a blanket and you're set.
Stay nice. I've seen people do that. They get
Yeah.
this or whatever and they stuff it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. It's like one of those things. Like, yeah, if it comes with it, cool. I don't know if I'm going to option it. I don't know if I'll ever buy a brand new boat from the catalog though either.
Yeah.
I feel like you lose so much depreciation like right off the rip. But as the boats do hold their value better than cars for sure. So
Yeah, I definitely don't recommend. I don't think I'll buy another new boat. Taking that MSRP hit, I don't think I'll ever do it again. I think I'll let someone else take the MSRP hit, and then I'll get it. But it's definitely cool to really sit there and design the boat yourself. That's kind of why I ordered a brand new boat because I wanted it to be different. I wanted it to be mine. But I don't think I'll do it again. So there's that. Yeah.
I guess I don't have anything else I want to talk about. The one thing I do want to, just because it dropped this week and I feel like it's taking the internet by storm. What does everybody think of the new X Star?
Uh,
I think that thing is gorgeous.
I like it, but I almost feel like I feel like the tower is kind of just I can't sit right with the tower. I've seen the wave. The wave looks absolutely insane. Like I don't think I've ever I don't think it compares. I don't think the Paragon compares to that wave. I don't think so. I think that Mastercraft would just destroy that Paragon wave. I mean, I don't know if it's the angle, the way they have that camera, but that wave looked amazing.
I've heard that Mastercraft, from a buddy, I don't know if he rode a Paragon or not, but I heard the best wave he's ever been on was Mastercraft. It like shits on everybody. And I want to get behind one, but I have not personally rode one either. Yeah, I mean, I've told you my story about how I thought about the G and the Natig wave. So I don't know. I think I'm itching to get on a Mastercraft, but I have not. I want to get on a Mastercraft and a Supra. I mean, if I can get behind a Paragon too, I'll take it too. I want to try all the waves. I'm just like, let me get a little bit of everything. I've tried Centurion. I've tried Axis, and who else did I try? I tried it. I was watching a Taiga. I was watching my buddy ride a Taiga. I didn't ride behind a Taiga, but he said like it had no push. I tried the MB. I love the MB. The MB wave is pretty sick. That's the new MB wave, not the older one, but the new the Alpha. That wave is sick. And my buddy sent me the specs on that. So if anybody wants to ever know what the specs on his Alpha, his 23 Alpha was, I can definitely send those out.
And with Taiga, I feel like we've all heard mixed about Taiga because I mean I've heard great things. I mean I've heard the waves are huge. My buddy, he really, really, really wanted one. I think the Ultra, I don't know the exact model, the 23 is what he was looking at, and I mean he was like, this is the best boat I've ever been on. So I mean I feel like with all boat brands like that, there's always a mix. Someone's telling you this wave is amazing. Someone's telling you, I don't like it. I almost feel like it's the type of day, the temperature,
Sure.
the depth, just really how the boat's dialed. Because I mean, I've seen some videos of your guys' wave, and it looks insane behind that C5. And I mean, it looks amazing. And I hear saying, "Oh, it's all right," but I don't know. I think videos show it different than kind of what some other people are saying. Because I definitely want to try one for sure. I've never ever ridden behind one, and I definitely want to try it.
And I think it's like the truck thing, you know what I mean? Everybody's got their favorite truck and everything else is a piece of junk. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, I can see that.
I drive a Dodge and my buddy's got a Ford and he's like, your Dodge is junk. And I'm like, your Ford's junk. You know what I mean? But I'm like, they're both good
Yeah.
trucks. You know what I
Right.
mean? Everybody's had problems with either one of them. I think you got to dial them in and you got to make them yours. My boat out of the box was pretty good. We did throw some lead in it. We spent some time in it, threw some lead in it. Uh, I ended up building sub boxes under the back, uh, by the engine compartment. And when I did that, my rear ballast bags wouldn't work. So I had to have custom bags made for that. You know
Okay.
what I mean? So I had to kind of play with weight a little bit. But my boat's pretty heavy with the stereo in it. So we got our wave kind of dialed in pretty well. And we usually only have about, 4 to 6 people in the boat. So we don't have big crews. It works pretty well. I think but I've had days on my A22 where we had that thing rocking. You know what I mean? Like the wave killer, bro. Like we used to run it. We used to run that thing so heavy over the rub rail. The water was over the rub rail, and we would throw it down on that boat. So you just got to dial it in. You know what I mean? Everybody's got their thing.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's
100%.
a perfect example. Sorry, Lonnie, I didn't mean to cut you off. I think that's a perfect example, though. Like, oh, Ford versus Chevy, Dodge, whatever.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's a Dodge, and he's talking shit about Chevy, and
Yeah, yeah.
about Ford, and we're all doing it. But I think at the end of the day, every boat is different too. Even the conditions. Like I've been on the same stretch of water, and I feel like my wave is not good. But you go back there 2 weeks later, and my wave is massive, and I have the same crew. Everything's the same. Just like the current's different or whatever. The wind's different. And same thing with you. Like I'll rub my shit to the rub rail. Like I'm like, man, I'm kind of pushing this thing close. But like, dude, at Powell, we were, I think, 8 people on the boat, 3 ice chests full of stuff. Like I had an ice chest dedicated to ice only, alcohol, food, water, and like I said, it's massive. People in the wave was like huge, and I'm just
Yeah,
like, all right, cool. Like I don't need to go buy another boat. And then I've been on other boats. I'm like, dude, like this is. I've been on the 265, and I was like, I was not impressed. So I'm like, what is the deal? So it's just so weird riding other boats because you're like, I could go, yeah, I want to go buy your boat, and I go buy the same one from my Tiger dealer, and I get it to my lake, and I'm like, it's not the same. I could set it up led the same, I could do everything the same, and it just doesn't surf the same. I'm like, so you got to change my mind on. I'm not like dogging Tyga. I think Tyga looks sick. They definitely look bitching, but at the same time, like I haven't personally rode mine. My buddy or rode one. I've just seen a lot. My buddy has an older Tyga, like an '06, and he plumbed it with ballast, and that thing throws a massive weight. He sent me drone shots of it, and his wave looks just as big as mine, and it's a $30,000 boat. And I'm like, bro,
Yep.
that's the
Yep.
way to go. I'm all about the budget. So either at the end of the day, we're all tying up at the sandbar, bumping tunes, so whatever.
Yeah, man. I think all of them are great. You know what I mean? I don't think you give me any of those new boats. I don't care what it is, and I'll rock it. You know what I mean? I'll make it work. We'll make it work. There's been days in my boat where I have everything set up perfect, and I don't know if it's just me, but I'm like, I ain't surfing today. Like I can't get it right. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I push like every condition is set up perfect the same way it was the weekend before.
Mhm.
It might be a mental thing. I'm just ain't surfing today. I'm gonna get drunk. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
I literally
There you go.
one of those days where I jump behind the wave and I'm like, why does it feel like I'm not going anywhere? Like I don't have the push. I'm like, did I forget how to surf? Like,
Yep.
what did I do? Like I didn't, everything is exactly the same, like whatever. But yeah, it's same thing. And how long did it take you to dial in your wave? You said out of the box was pretty good, but like me and Lonnie were talking before, like it took him 6 months to get it like
Yeah,
scary.
took 6 months to just see it my wave to a clean face.
So we went out. I went out with the guys from Next Level. Matt Stewart, he's a Doomsville surfer.
Mm,
We went out and we ran the boat around for probably a couple hours without even really surfing it, just watching the wave and moving some lead around. You know what I mean? And we only had 3 of us on the boat. We would move some lead around, and then we spent a couple hours surfing it and got it pretty dialed in. And then I changed everything and added all the stereo stuff, added a bunch of weight. And after that, I kind of play with it every once in a while. And when I think I have it figured out, the same thing happens. I'm like, oh, I got it perfect. And then I'll go back out again and I'm not happy with it. You know what I mean? So I make stupid
yeah,
little changes and then I forget where I'm at. I should start writing stuff down. I forget where I'm at. So I don't know if I'm going forwards or backwards, but
right.
it works for me. I'm happy with it, especially, the deep water. The boat likes deep water. So that's where I kind of try to stay in the riverside.
The one thing I will say,
Perfect.
I always like I have one buddy, he's like an ex-football player. He's 245 pounds, like lean. Every time we go surfing, he's like, "All right, Tristan, where do you want me to sit?" And because I'm just he's like my personal ballast bag that I can move around the boat. So I'm like, You're surfing. You're sitting in the surf side. Whoever's surfing, you're sitting in that corner, and you watch that wave go like this, and it goes like this. Like you watch it change when you move somebody around, and you're just like. And I think that's the biggest thing with my boat. I have to set my people up almost like 70-30.
Yeah.
And I weigh 220 pounds, so like I'm already adding a bunch of weight on. If you're regular, already adding a bunch of weight on the non-surf side. So if I got a bunch of like smaller people than me, I like throw everybody on the surf side. I'm like, everybody go that way, or like the half of the boat that way.
Yeah.
The 822.
Yeah.
What years did you say?
15.
I think that's what mine was, and yeah, we used to throw that thing down, man.
Yeah.
I had like 1,300 pounds of lead in it.
Wow.
Like that thing just, like we would get it done, man. It had like a what was it, Monsoon 350 motor in it.
Yep, that's the same one I have.
Yeah, we had the
Chevy motor. It goes, but
we had a prop set up on that thing, and dude, it was an animal, man. And I had it dialed in before I traded it in. You know,
when I have a small crew, I have a 650 bag with a tsunami pump that I'll put in the floor. Like if it's only like 3 or 4 of us.
Yeah.
If I have 5 or more people, I normally don't need to run it. It just kind of depends on who's like how crazy we want to surf. Like if we want somebody, if I'm trying to like impress somebody with the wave, then I'll bust it out. Like I'll kind of put it in a certain spot. But if it's just like people learning to surf, like I normally don't run it. The one thing I will say though is I talked to an old Malibu mechanic. He was a mechanic for like 10 years, and then it changed to Tommy's, and then the whole Tommy's fiasco happened. He said though, he's like a lot of these Access and Malibus got thrown the Monsoon motor in there, and that's just like the generic motor they dropped in so many boats for 15 years basically. And that's kind of the same thing with the new Access Malibu motor is the M5 and the M6. He's like, it's basically the same shit. Because I saw a boat, and I was like, oh, what do you think of this? He's like, it's kind of not anything different than what you got. Yeah. You would get a newer boat, yeah, but it's like the same thing. So they just rebrand the motors and stuff. But he said that motor's not rated for all the ballast they were throwing at it. Essentially, like it'll get the job done. It's a nice workhorse motor, and it'll just run forever. But it definitely is making it work because it wasn't rated for that much weight. You know, you have 1,300 pounds of lead on top of your ballast. So I have 2 650s. I think the center tank's 9, and my front bag is 5. I want to say,
yeah.
And then occasionally, and then whatever personnel you have, and then I throw a 650 on top of it. So you're at between 2,000 and 3,000 pounds of ballast, depending on your crew and what's going on. So yeah, that boat's working. Do you have the Raptor motor in your boat?
Yep. Okay. And I have the small Raptor. I have the Raptor 400.
Oh, really? Okay.
I have the small motor, but we have that thing propped, man, and I don't think I would change it. You know what I mean? If I get another Taiga, if I go with the same boat, I'm going to order the small motor. I tried. My cousin has the 440, and he has a tad bit more power, but it drinks a lot of fuel.
Oh, okay.
My boat, I'm loaded down. You know what I mean? I changed the lithium batteries, so I'm a lot lighter on that setup. But I'm probably 600 pounds just in subs and boxes, not including amps. You know, the subs are 95 pounds a piece, and there's 3 of them.
How many subs? Oh,
yeah. I got 315s in there, but we got stereo stuff everywhere, and we're loaded heavy. And with that right prop, that boat I've never had a problem with power, dude. And I could run, I'm talking surfing sun up to sundown. I could probably run 3 days on 80 gallons.
Really? Well, you guys my boat is a 45, or it's like around a 45 gallon tank. So you guys get a lot of help on your tank as well with weight. Because I noticed a big difference if I'm at a full tank of gas versus in how much the boat's working versus if I'm at half a tank or whatever.
Oh yeah. And the Monsoon was good on fuel. My old Axis was good on fuel, and I was worried about the Taiga, but the Taiga, I don't know if it's because it has a small motor. It's not really pushing a lot. We just have it propped right. We have, of course, we don't have a lot of top speed, but I don't really need to run fast in that boat.
It's not a boat knowing you're not going to go fast. Like
I could load 10 people in there full of gear and all my weight, and that boat, fill up ballast, and it'll pick up no problem.
I was gonna say, what RPMs are you running at when you're surfing?
Probably look closer to about 4,500, 4,500, depending on how fast I'm speeding and how heavy I am. You know what I mean?
And what you surf like around 11.2, 11?
We're usually like 12.3, 12.4.
Oh, really? Okay.
Run a little bit, and the bigger boat seems like the faster.
Got it.
Yes. Faster speed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We could slow it down and make the wave real high, but it just doesn't really work very well. It just makes a taller wave. It just doesn't really give you the push.
Got it. Okay, cool.
We've run it up to 13 miles an hour with enough people before.
Got it. Okay, that's interesting. I've heard that you could go fast, but I haven't seen anybody personally.
ever. I know with the Supreme was a super heavy boat.
Yeah.
I think it was 6,000 pounds dry, Azure fuel, 2 ice chests, and 12 people. And I think we were closer to, 15,000 pounds fully loaded with people gear because we bring really big crews. Really big. We had 16 adults and 4 children in that boat one time, and it was a lot. So we definitely run, bigger crews. Bigger crews, you got to bring more gear, more ice chests, all that. And that boat, it wouldn't go over 15. And it had the ZZ6, I believe that's the 450. I don't know off the top of my head. Had the 450, and it was, don't get me wrong, it did great. I mean, the boat could wakeboard. Just we would kind of only do half ballast wakeboarding just because we run such big crews and we need the boat on plane, but it didn't like to get on plane at all. And I mean, I definitely wish I would have went with a bigger motor, because it could do it sometimes and have fun, but it's when you can't wakeboard, because your crew's too big, that it's kind of a party foul.
My boat, when you try to wakeboard, I can only fill up my ballast like half because it takes forever to get on plane. I did reprop it, and I haven't really I wakeboarded a little bit since I've repropped it. But before I repropped it, like I tried going like I normally go full front, full center, and like only like 25% rear, and it would just plow water for a hot minute, and you're just kind of just getting drugged back there. You're like, okay, get up to speed, please. But yeah, getting that thing on plane with ballast was kind of a bitch. And I repropped it. It's definitely better, especially like if I'm just leaving the marina to go to a spot, it'll like flatten out super fast now versus before it kind of like built up and you kind of plowed a little bit and then it would get on it. So I do think repropping is like a game changer for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I think every boat's got its advantages. Like we talked about, there's just so many good boats. So many, you can make an old boat surf. I've even tried to make a direct drive surf. I've seen videos of direct drives actually surfing.
Yeah, down too.
And I'm like, you would think it actually would do well having the motor in the middle, swatting it. I just think the whole design is probably what hurts it, just because there's so much different back in the day. So
yeah,
we've never wakeboarded behind my boat. We don't wakeboard. We just, what I mean. So I think that's where that small motor works out for us. The small motor we rock and roll. I don't think our boat with the gear we run would probably be happy wakeboarding.
Yeah, you could probably not fill up ballast.
Yeah,
and you'd probably be fine. Just because you're already so loaded down stock. But like I said, like when people make comments about, oh yeah, you guys are plowing water everywhere. I was like, yeah, dude, I got, like you said, you were running 20 people, 2 ice chests. You're probably your weight behind you raw, like not any ballast. It's insane.
Yeah, we definitely like to bring out multiple families, and I mean that's where the bigger boats come in hand too. Is you can bring all your family and friends, but it's like when they're not there and you want to surf, you're kind of screwed because you really got to sink those things down, or there's no wave. It's super sloppy. The bigger boats definitely need a lot of weight, and those people aren't there. You're kind of just like, well, all right, we'll go tie up and just hang out for the day.
Yeah, we're gonna drink now. We're gonna have fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But what you said you booked a house for Desert Storm. What day are you guys getting there? You guys getting there?
Let me look here. Hold on. I don't lie to you.
I'll find you.
Let me just look here.
Desert Storm is going to be one for the books.
You're going, right, Lonnie?
We're getting there.
I believe so.
We're getting there the 22nd.
What is that? Is that a Tuesday?
Is that Tuesday or Monday?
Yeah.
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
I don't know if I'm going to get there yet. I'm still trying to work that out. If anything, I'll probably just because of the wife's schedule and stuff like that, I'll probably if anything, best case would be Thursday for us. But yeah, definitely excited to see it. We got some good stuff for that event in the works, and then you guys posted on the other stuff I'm trying to do. Definitely would love to make a trip and check out one of your guys' spots too, both NorCal and Texas. Definitely just stay in touch, make it happen. Appreciate you guys obviously sharing everything and taking the time to be a part of this. So, Josh, is there anything else you want to maybe drop on here? I mean, it's not like we have millions of followers by no means, but if there's a shamelessly plug, feel free to do it.
I got to say it to the whole world, but just keep an eye on everything. And you guys need to come down. I'll let y'all know when we have some of these bigger Texas events, especially these tie-ups. Y'all just fly in, jump on the truck, and we'll go hang out for a couple of days.
Sick.
For sure. Sounds great. Yeah.
So it won't be bad to fly into Houston. You know what I mean? Flights are cheap. we rock and roll. Go have a good time with it.
And the
Perfect.
flight's not, for me, it's not a bad flight. It's only like 2 hours, so it's not a bad flight at all. So yeah, I'm definitely the lady loves to travel. So if I say, hey, you want to go somewhere, she's like, oh, twist my arm.
Yeah, I'm ready for summer, man. It's like 35 degrees outside in Houston right now, and I'm ready to get back on it.
I'm ready to be back in summer too. It's not that cold here. In the mornings, it's like 35, 40. I've been doing some construction work the last couple days, and I'm like, man, it is chilly out here. I'm over this. But normally during the day, like I could be in a hoodie and like shorts, or I could at the peak part of the day, I could be in shorts and a short sleeve shirt. But yeah, I'm ready for it to be warm again. I'm kind of over the cold. As much as I do love the winter activities, I'm ready to be back just pounding out summer and having a good time.
Yeah, we'll be back on it like mid-March. We'll be back on the boat. So
Yeah,
For sure.
February's pretty cold. March will probably be the same thing. April, I could start just wearing just the wetsuit top, and then from there, our summer starts pretty early here. So
yeah, we'll be full steam here in April.
But if you want to come out, by all means, the invite's there too. Come out, or like I said, we'll meet in Pal. We'll do something.
For sure. All right.
Guys. Well, thanks so much.